Well, good morning, everyone. Pastor Corey Rowland here with Yorksville First, Pleasant Grove, and Tippecanoe United Methodist Church. And I'm back with you in our Ten Commandments series together. In Exodus 20, verse 14, we have the seventh commandment. And the seventh commandment is you must not commit adultery. Now, the Bible talks about sexual sins. There's kind of the two big ones when we talk about sexual sins is adultery and fornication. There's many other sexual sins, homosexuality, and all the other pantheon. But you got to understand, adultery is a very specific sin where it's, when you're married and you cheat on your spouse. That's adultery. Fornication, which is also a sexual sin, is when you guys aren't married, but you are having sex outside of marriage. That's fornication. Both are evil. But God is saying that it is important for us not to commit adultery because marriage was instituted by Him, and marriage shows Christ's relationship with the church. And so the goal in a Christian marriage is till death do you part. And so we cannot commit adultery. And again, most of us will probably go through life saying, I love my wife, I'm not going to commit adultery. But Jesus says, again, in the Sermon on the Mount, that to even look at somebody with lust is as bad as committing adultery because you've committed adultery in your heart. And so again, that catches many of us, especially guys. This is one that guys have a big problem with, is looking with lust. But don't think that you can get away with it either, girls, because I know that there are several of you that also look at men with lust. Lust is a biological fact. When you see somebody attractive, most likely you will be looking at them with lust. And so the problem being is lust is so tied in our biology that no matter what, when you see somebody attractive or pretty, your first thoughts will probably be lustful thoughts. But the secret is don't give in to those lustful thoughts. Immediately when you see that attractive person, and immediately when you feel those lustful thoughts, immediately say, Lord, forgive me, and give it to the Lord. Don't dwell on those lustful thoughts. Odds are that you're not going to stop having lustful thoughts when you see somebody, because again, it's very tied in our biology. But the Christian thing to do is to say, immediately recognize that lustful thought and get rid of it. Don't dwell on it. Don't allow yourself, to commit that adultery in the heart. And oftentimes, adultery does not start with, two people having sex. It's a slow fade. It's a little bit of a chipping away. It might start with, flirtations in the office, flirtatious touch, spending time alone together, going out to lunch. And before you know it, it's a slippery slope, and you've committed adultery. And so my advice for you is to run from adultery. Don't put yourself in compromising positions. I firmly believe that unless you are married to somebody, you should not be alone with somebody of the opposite sex, unless they're your spouse. Because why even put yourself in that situation? That's one of the rules that Billy Graham had for anyone on his team. You cannot be alone with somebody of the opposite sex unless they are your wife or spouse. And so that I believe that's so important. Don't put yourself in compromising positions, because lust is a very slippery slope, and it ends in adultery, and it often will lead to broken marriages. And so the message for today is don't commit adultery. Don't commit adultery in the heart. Don't look at lust at anyone but your spouse. Sex is a beautiful thing created by God, but it is only meant for in marriage. Any other time that sex appears outside of marriage, it is always associated with a sinful, depraved mind. So don't give in to the lustful thoughts. Stick true to your spouse and do not commit adultery. Amen.